Hello everybody and welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thank you for joining me. Back with just a really quick video. I know I touched on this during my weeklies, but I'm just seeing a lot of friction going on with clients and just a lot of people right now with these squares between Mars and Uranus. So we're actually just coming out of the Venus-Uranus square the past couple days, and now we are in the Mars-Uranus square. It actually kind of started heating up yesterday, right when Mars moved into 12 degrees, but it is going to be continuing for today and into tomorrow. And I want to talk less about kind of the textbooky kind of logical sense. I want to talk just more about emotions and feelings, because when we're dealing with Mars, we have a tendency to sometimes shoot from the hip and kind of just respond to things or react to things. And whenever you're dealing with Mars transits, regardless of the planet, the energy, the pure energy of Mars that is more in regards to will or courage, passion, anger, frustration, is always going to be seen. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what it feels like, because I've just noticed this trend yesterday and today with some of my clients, with friends, with family members, a lot of people that are like, what's going on? There's like this cosmic pressure cooker and everybody is on edge. And the reoccurring phrase that I keep hearing is, I feel like I'm going to snap, or I feel like I'm going to pop. So I'm like, okay, probably time to hop on the YouTube and talk to people about this. When we look at aspects between Mars, especially a square, it's already representing that friction, kind of that expression that's more like reactionary and frustrated, right? Depending on the planet that it is coming into a square with. So in this case, Uranus and Taurus, the liberator, right? And Uranus and Taurus deals more so, I think, with our physical bodies, our physical security, what feels good or doesn't feel good, what tastes good or doesn't taste good, what we possess or what we have. And this can be kind of a moment in time, yesterday, today, or tomorrow, where we just feel like we're at a boiling point. And one thing I want to tell you guys is, while these transits are frustrating, this isn't anything new. We have actually seen for the last year, Saturn and Uranus have been squaring off, showing us where we've been having to do a little bit of reeling it in, focusing on restriction, focusing on being grounded, committed, and doing the routine, serious karmic work. And Uranus and Taurus has actually been showing us where our bodies are physically rebelling, our finances, our values, perhaps maybe even our personal beliefs have just been in friction and at odds with society. So when we break down the two archetypes of Taurus, which is the I value, I build, I have, I possess, versus the archetype of Aquarius, which is we, us, the group, the friends, the collective, there's something that's at odds right now with our own personal shifts and changes. It may even be frequencies and things that are going on within our body, things that are changing and kind of evolving globally, right? Like within the earth. Like when I think of like Mars square Uranus, I think of friction that's happening in fault lines that ultimately manifests as an earthquake, because we see the pressure and the heat from Mars coming into the square with Uranus and Taurus, which is the actual earth itself, and how that may make all kinds of things happen between foundations shifting, rocks sliding, things breaking, but also I think a lot about anything just in relation to the fact that earth can actually give in, or we can cave. So can this materialize as some, volcanic eruptions? That's another one, I guess, with Mars square Uranus, or earthquakes. Maybe it's possible. But I think that this is more in regards to the earth responding to how we are vibrationally and vice versa. So we can see actual eruptions take place, or earthquakes take place, because of what's going on with the collective energies with us humans here on earth. So they affect each other. But we can be feeling this weekend, hello, it's Tuesday, this week, that there is this eruption going on in our own personal life. And to me, it seems like this dynamic battle, this urge that's going on between our own personal need for freedom and what's going on collectively with the world. I want to read to you guys a little bit that's going to, I guess, give me even some more kind of in-depth. One of my favorite books, Archetypal Universe by Ren Butler. I keep it on my desk. It's super helpful, especially when it comes to just really breaking things down archetypally and helping explain to clients just what's going on in their transits for their day-to-day. What I love about this book is it's very descriptive, and the fact that it gives you lots of insight into all of the different planetary combinations. So definitely something that I would recommend getting. So if we look at page 150, Mars-Uranus. The principles of Mars-Uranus. Dynamic urges towards freedom, independence, determined craving for thrill and excitement, sudden breakthroughs and rushes of energy, electric yang enthusiasm, tendencies towards excessive self-will, reckless courage, defiance, impulsive rash actions, and flashes of anger. Mars-Uranus squares kind of remind me of like getting cut off while you're driving and getting frustrated, and like you give somebody the finger and then you pull up and then they give you a look, and then there can be like this weird altercation and somebody speeds up and goes in front of someone else, you know? This sense of drive and anger and frustration, but the rush and the thrill of Uranus and doing something rebellious and very different. It also kind of makes me feel similar to similar to Uranus square Saturn. I see that a lot in like broken bones. Like I think back to like the numbers of clients that I've had that are like, why did I roll my ankle? And why did I break my foot? Or why did I, end up breaking my collarbone? Oftentimes it's a result of squares from Uranus. Sometimes Uranus square Saturn, sometimes Mars square Uranus. But I think if we're being put in this box, right? I think a lot of people are feeling like they're in a box right now, where they're being tightly confined to certain situations that they are clinging on to because it's their own personal values, or maybe it's security stuff. It's the money they don't want to let go of, the relationship they don't want to let go of, the conversation they don't want to have. The thing is that Mars comes in and it agitates and it frustrates us, and it can kind of turn like something very small into some very big kind of explosive event. So if there has been something you've been holding on to or holding in, not talking about, kind of concealing, especially within the physical body, Mars is going to come in and it's going to be like an aggravator that's going to kind of rub you the wrong way, and then there's a blow up, right? So it may just be that small kind of comment that you have from a coworker at work, and after months of holding it in and not talking about it, you finally give them a piece of your mind. Also, it can materialize as the body actually responding and having like violent shakes and kind of nervous, nervous system tendencies with that Uranus and Taurus, and shaking and angry to the point of just like imploding, right? So it's an energy that is very difficult to deal with. I feel like it's an ongoing part of the storyline also of Venus having squared off with Uranus just this last weekend, showing us where relationships are due for an upgrade, where we can do things that are a little bit different or unique, or maybe we need to kind of shake things up when it comes to how we love, or how we, interact with other people, how we are in relationships to others. Certainly when Venus squares Uranus, there's like a need to, maybe try a different sexual position. Maybe it's like about switching things up and going to a party instead of staying home with the kids. It can be a radical hairstyle or anything like that that kind of sets things in motion. So it's this real feminine kind of emotional, relational kind of shakeup. And now here comes Mars and is reacting to that. So depending on upsets that may have happened over the last week in regards to relationships or resources, now here comes Mars that's like kind of, in a way, the blowback that's coming from some of these changes. Now, for some of you guys who are feeling this energy very strongly, especially those of you guys who are the fixed signs, so if you have any placements in the fixed signs between, I would say, 10 and 15 degrees, okay, so that's for Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Pay attention if you are a fixed sun, moon, or rising, you're going to feel this as well. And likely there is an aggravator in some way in your life that's bringing this up, so Uranus can liberate you, right? So it's actually trying to help us diffuse this anger. It's also helping us realize that in many ways, the need for liberation outweighs the need for physical security, or perhaps even physical resources and security right now. It can be a lot of like, yeah, let's go ham and like spend a bunch of money going out on a date, or like whatever, I'm going to call in sick to work and I'm going to have, a 4-day weekend. There's a lot of like rebelliousness that's going on where we're really needing to blow off steam. Now, if you're somebody who is working with sharp objects, heat, anything that involves iron, driving, anything in relation to engines, electricity is another theme that I would say you guys really want to watch out for. I think with Uranus and Taurus and all of these planets in Aquarius, there can be some very strange electrical issues and mishaps. You want to be very careful with this energy. Like just this weekend, I noticed, I was watering my plants and saw some water get really close to like a power strip because it all kind of came out of the bottom of the pot. And as I go to reach for the power strip, I was like, oh my God, just knowing that there was this like Mars Uranus energy that's out there, and have been constantly encouraging, family members, be mindful when you're driving, be careful, slow down. There's no need to like reconstruct things in the house. Don't be trying to change fuses or anything. Just give it a couple days until this energy shifts, right? Just to be cautious, just because I know that it's out there. Even when this starts to wane here over the next couple of days, we are still seeing that Venus is going to be enclosed between Mars and Saturn. And the truth is that really the better part of like right now through the first 10 days of April, this energy is still very strong because we are going to see Mars and Venus come into conjunction with Saturn. And I think prior to getting there, I would really just mark on your guys' calendars March 27th and March 28th. This will be when Mars and Venus are conjunct Saturn. Actually, Venus and Saturn will be exactly conjunct with the moon, but it's going to bring up more of these conjunctions between the moon and Mars. So we're going to feel it more energetically, and it will come into a square again with Uranus and Taurus. You guys can learn a lot by just learning about the lunar transits and how the moon moving through things is actually going to activate things. I feel like there is like a second piece of the puzzle that's actually going to be coming up during the 27th and the 28th of March. And then we still have to wait for those planets to then square the nodes, which will be at the end of March going into early April. Then we will see Mars and Saturn come into a conjunction on April 4th. And it's also in the sign of Aquarius. So it's going to be about, I think, hard realignments for society, harsh restrictions. It is energy that is still about conflict and the, I think, repercussions of conflict or anger and hostility, right? So globally, it could be like repercussions for attacks or war or anything that might be more aggressive in nature. I'm especially looking at April 4th when Mars and Saturn come into conjunction, and that to me kind of seems like, harsh limitations. I mean, I really don't know how else to put it, but that particular day, the moon will also be in Taurus and it will square. So like I said, the energy from here on is only going to get more intense. It's really important to watch our words, watch our behavior, be mindful of our anger and what we're doing with it and making sure that we have positive outlets for that. So that way we're not lashing out and doing things or acting in ways that are going to have some pretty serious or pretty severe repercussions. I just reflect on some of the clients that I've had over the last week and just some of the topics that I've noticed, everything from domestic violence and abuse to particularly bad accidents to repercussions that are coming as a result of like friendships that have been toxic or kind of abusive, repercussions of people borrowing money or dealing with lending situations, and then finally like hitting that wall where because they have not been as cautious or conservative with their spending habits, then they're kind of tapped out and they're not actually able to get resources. I mean, when you're dealing with squares, you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? There is some kind of conflict or hurdle that comes up intentionally that has to be dealt with so that way you can proceed forward. So I don't want you guys to look at it as a situation where you're like, okay, the astrology is going to be really intense for the next 3 weeks, so I'm just going to hide out. Because to be honest with you, when we have conjunctions to Saturn, like I said, it's very karmic. It's about karmic upgrades. But when planets square the nodes, nobody gets a pass. So in a lot of ways, the next 2 weeks is really a lot of rising to the occasion, right? Rising to the occasion and really becoming acutely aware of where frustration has led to this point where we're not choosing to fight back, but we are choosing to stand up and be more clear and defined with boundaries and be mindful of how we're interacting with other people and opting not to participate in violence, in the mob mentality of everybody getting worked up over something or people kind of going tit for tat and it possibly becoming something that can be particularly dangerous or aggressive. So you want to watch for anything involving these topics: heat, anger, explosive situations. We want to avoid conflict if at all possible. Be very mindful if you have any planets, like I said, anywhere between 12 and the better part of like 25 degrees of the fixed signs. I'll talk more about this down the road. I will be talking about this quite a bit, probably later this week during my astro weather. I want to leave you guys with just some thoughts on also how to handle situations, perhaps in times that may seem troubling or may seem scary or may seem more aggressive. And I guess what the beauty of Aquarius is, when we really look at this archetypally and how all of these conjunctions are squaring the South Node in Scorpio, which is about moving away from fear, moving away from death, moving away from loss, moving away from toxicity or abuse. And also the square from Taurus, which is sometimes this very practical, physical, showing up, you know, going through the motions type energy. Taurus can be a sign that is more about personal pleasure and personal indulgences and personal resources. So I think of like a lot of Taurus energy can be like, okay, but that's mine, right? That's mine. This is what I need. This is my resources. This is what I value. This is my money. This is my food. And it can touch on topics that involve things like hoarding or where we're gathering and focusing on what we're holding on to, versus Scorpio, which is about loss and pain and what's ripped away from us or what's scary or what died or what was removed or taken away in some capacity. So we can really feel that Pluto energy of, oh, I've been there before. Oh, I got hurt before. I didn't have enough in the past. I didn't have enough resources, or I had a lot of pain, or I actually had to let something go, or that person died. So there's fear and phobia attached to it. It's interesting that Scorpio is ruled by Mars and we have a lot of Mars energy, but the North Node, Taurus, is also ruled by Venus. So we've got both collectively the past life South Node ruler and the destiny forward moving ruler moving together, coming into a conjunction with Saturn. This is what I love about astrology, is that you can look at some of these transits that are coming and look into the future and see where collectively we go through an upgrade, right? So, you know, speaking on some of the stuff that's coming, I believe that with astrology, we have free will. We are here to overcome and supersede some of our astrological placements. I have seen miraculous things happen in both transits and natal charts where I see people overcome particularly difficult odds and obstacles in life. But I know that there are certain configurations that set up that basically indicate where a particular planet is really in charge and that there is going to be things that are going to happen that are going to ensure that that individual goes through a series of tests and trials to be able to grow and evolve on a soul level, right? Usually when it's in conjunctions to Saturn or squares to the nodes. So my point is that we have all of this happening now. And if you have been feeling trapped, if you have been feeling scared, if you have been buying into what the media is saying about we're not going to have enough, there's not going to be enough money, we're raising rates, we're doing this, we're doing that, pushing you in the direction of, I think, going with the crowd and behaving in fear, pushing you in the direction of possibly expressing some very aggressive and frankly abusive tendencies. That's kind of the purpose. And as shitty as it sounds, it's almost like saying collectively, especially with planets getting into the later degrees of Aquarius, everybody is being pushed to their limit, right? Spend 2 years of kind of going through this in the world. But now we're coming to this turning point where I think we're realizing that we are stronger when we work together. We are stronger when we come together as groups collectively. We are going to be more efficient and more likely to actually make change happen if we are banding together and utilizing all of our unique talents and insight and being willing to not fight fire with fire, but standing up and using intelligence and vibration and a real focus on being warriors for peace and freedom. So if we're all fighting each other, it's not really going to work. If we're giving people ultimatums and throwing fists and lighting things on fire, we're not going to get there. It's just not going to happen. So if you're somebody who's frustrated, seeing what's going on in the world right now, seeing that there's just a lot of people who are arguing and reacting and responding and tit for tatting, be mindful that if you're participating in that energy, it's going to take longer for us to get to the other side of it, first of all. And secondly, there are going to be some possibly particularly difficult repercussions, both financially and also in relationships, that in some ways are karmic at the end of March, particularly, the 26th, 27th, 28th. And there's going to be even some more difficult repercussions that may be both physical or financial, right? That are going to play out from about April 3rd to the better part of April 8th, okay? So we are in trying times in a lot of ways. I remember looking at these transits 2 or 3 years ago going, man, I wonder what's going to be happening in the world in spring of 2020. I wonder what kind of final breaking point the world is going to get to where we realize that we need to have equality. We need to be mindful of how we're moving. I think in a lot of ways, this energy is being orchestrated energetically and vibrationally to stir the pot and create a lot of conflict. So there can be this angry mob mentality. There can be a lot of people reacting and lashing out and freaking out intentionally to then take some of our freedoms away. So you guys also want to be mindful of not taking the bait, right? So easier said than done. Some people have a lot of really strong Mars-Saturn aspects or Mars-Pluto aspects. But there's one thing that I love about aspects with Mars or Saturn or Pluto is that it can be this very like Mr. Miyagi kind of mentality that's very reformed. It's pulled in, it's focused, right? It's like the art of war. It's not just going in with hand-to-hand combat and duking it out in a parking lot. Sometimes it's a matter of looking at the opponent and going like, nope, you're not going to get a rise out of me. This is what's going to happen. This is how I'm going to stand up for myself and actually lay the boundary, right? Aquarius has this amazing ability to be able to look somebody in the eye and go, cool, we don't see eye to eye, totally fine. We're both human beings. We can still be friends. You do you, I'll do me. I kind of wish that we could go back to that time in society where we could look at people and be like, you, do your thing, great. Without feeling like every little thing needs to be this mini war or battle. Life is hard enough as it is, man. We don't need any more of this going on. But by the same token, there are going to be some things that are coming up that you need to stand up for. And it may be something as small and trivial as just standing up to a family member and saying, hey, I'm not welcoming this aggression anymore in my life. When you want to have a healthy relationship, I would love to have a healthy relationship with you, but we're not going to yell and scream. For others, it's the defining moment in a job where you're no longer willing to, you know, be putting your health or your happiness or your security or your livelihood in jeopardy just because you're going to work and making money for another person. This is the energy that's going to start revolutions. This is the energy that's going to push people into the future collectively to create change. But hopefully you're fighting with words and you're doing it in a way that is responsible, definitive, insightful, aware, and intelligent, right? It's air. So I hope this helps you guys. I hope that you guys are faring well with some of these transits. I know it can be a difficult time when we are facing some of these energies, and I want to remind you that all energies are a derivative of fear or love. Always. It's not fear, love, anger, fear, love, jealousy. No. It's fear or it's love. And if you're not responding in a way that's loving, and I'm not saying that you're not loving if you're, you know, standing up for yourself, because in a lot of ways, that's what this is going to be about. That's like really saying to other people, you know, enough is enough, you know, kind of stops here. That's my line. Don't cross it. Oh, you crossed it. Okay, we're good here. Take care, right? That's what I love about these energies, is that I think Mars and Saturn can actually teach us that we can get so much further by basically just telling people, that was the boundary, you crossed it, now here are the repercussions, and actually putting this into motion in a way where we're not just spinning our wheels and going round and round. So this buildup, this pressure is for all of us on an individual level to get so frustrated, so fed up to the point where we're like, that's it, I'm done, I've had enough. And when we all start to do that and focus less on the conflict and more on the solution, and lean on people who can help us come up with these solutions or new systems or new things that are going to bring freedom to all of us and higher vibration, change will happen. Okay? So I know it's scary. Hang in there, ground your energy, focus on breathing, go for a run, do something that is going to be a positive outlet so that way you're not having it out with somebody online, you're not cutting somebody off while you're driving home from work, you're not having that, you know, standoff with somebody who you're in a relationship with, and know that it's okay to release and let go. And that part of this experience is meant for you to get to your wit's end. So that way you're willing to liberate yourself and move forward. All the conflicts going on right now are all pointing towards early April and this breakthrough that we're going to be having collectively. How is it affecting your chart? Where is this conjunction happening in Aquarius? How are you dealing with it? How have you been able to transmute some of this energy to be able to stand in your own personal power? And yeah, let me know below. I'll be talking about this more at the end of the week, so stay tuned for that. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about some of these transits before they start squaring off with the nodes, because that's going to be the real turning point in early April. Please be safe, drive slowly, be aware of everything around you, and realize that there are going to be lots of karmic, I think, I don't know, like lots of karmic, not limitations, but results that are going to come from this. There are certain things that are in the stars that are panning out with intention and purpose. And those of you guys who are feeling that like rebellious kick right now to go, nope, that's it, I'm going to make a change, are going to not only help raise the vibration for everybody else to have the courage to do that, but you're going to set off a chain reaction where we're all going to realize that we cannot be limited. We are spirit beings. And a lot of what's going on right now is to limit us from being able to ascend and raise our vibration and come together for freedom and equality in all ways. Not just financially, physically, with food, with resources, with all of the creature comforts and the things that we all need and all deserve, and why we came to this planet. I'll leave you with that. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, caring, and subscribing, caring and subscribing, sharing and subscribing, but I'm sure you guys care too, right? Anyways, thank you for listening. I'll see all of you guys very soon. Take care.